go through some of the solutions for you. Now, going back to Sarah, our project manager, who was letting imposter syndrome take over her life to the extent that she wasn't applying for senior roles. She felt stuck. She was unhappy with her job, the organization. She couldn't see how she could progress. She didn't think she was good enough. Well, when I coached her, we explored all the different reasons for why she was stopping herself. And then we started to explore what she could do to combat it and what was crippling her success, her growth, her achievement, and her overall happiness. Because when I met her, she was down, right? And when we finished, and I will tell you in a bit what happened, you know, her face was just, I remember a call. She came on one day, her face was different. She lit up the screen. It was a completely different situation. And I want you to think about the practical things that will help you to overcome it. Now, write down your thoughts about what you're experiencing and how you could do things differently. Okay. Um, you've got a choice. You can either stay stuck where you are, or you can choose to develop yourself. Um, now, I want you to think about backing yourself more. Use evidence, not feelings, right? Recognize and celebrate your achievements and practice self compassion and forgiveness. And also, I want you to develop a growth mindset in this sense. Now, you will all know what that is, but it's hard sometimes when you apply it to yourself. And I want you to kind of visualize those positive affirmations. Um, and above all, I want you to remember, don't let it rule over you. You can do something about it. So let's look at those. Let's look at these 5 types. Now, give me 1 second. In terms of developing yourself, develop your level of self-awareness. Recognize these patterns in yourself. That's the first step. You've got to acknowledge them before you address them. And hopefully today you've identified some triggers and behaviors so you understand what they are and why they happen. Your thoughts challenge that negative self-talk. Reflect and think about why you're doing that so you can reframe your thoughts. So instead of saying, oh, I only got here because I got lucky, say, well, actually, I secured this role because of my abilities. Different, it's very different, you see? And recognize the information that you had in your original thought might be outdated. This is a big thing for people. They don't realize how much old stuff they're carrying around. And it could be something as simple as something someone said to you, right? And in your behavior, I want you to create new habits that come from an authentic place. This is really important, right? Not from, it has to be authentic. It can't be from a place of, oh, here's a new coping strategy, right? That's very different. That is not what we're doing now. So think of it as, how can I become more authentic about who I am? Collect evidence on your successes. Separate your feelings from the facts, because you might feel useless in the moment, but but your feeling that way does not make it true. Does that make sense? It's so I want you to embrace failure and imperfection as a learning opportunity. Now, I know that's going to be hard for some people because you're not going to get it right every time. So, what are you going to do next time something doesn't work out? How are you going to look at that situation differently? You have a choice to take a different direction and a different pathway. I embrace you to take that. Okay. Building your self-confidence, I want you to back yourself more. Use that again, use that evidence, not feelings. So, for example, when someone gives you praise at work or in your personal life, or somebody tells you that you've been really helpful in a certain situation, that's evidence, right? Don't let that contradict itself by letting those negative thoughts and feelings take over. And, if somebody gives you a compliment, it's so easy to go, oh, yeah, I know what you mean, but I just did it because that's how I am. It's not that. Just be gracious. And if if somebody does give you a call, I have people come up to me in the street, random strangers, and they just say, "Wow, I love what you're wearing today." And it used to kind of throw me, but I'm getting more used to it now. And I just said, "Thank you. That's really nice of you." And it's a much better way of saying, instead of just going, "Oh, I just threw this on." Can you see how when you say that, it relinquishes the power of who you are, and it actually it's a bit disrespectful to that person who's giving you that compliment, and you just say, "Ah, I just chucked it on." That could come across a bit arrogant, or it could come across as, dismissive. So just be, just say thank you. It's hard. I remember the first time I did it. I felt really awkward because I wanted to spring back to my old behavior. But just to be able to do that, recognize and celebrate those achievements, practice self-compassion and forgiveness. Realize you're not going to get it right every time. And, think about how you're going to forgive yourself and think about those positive affirmations. Now, with this one, strengthening your resilience, you've got to recognize your feelings of self doubt. They are feelings and they're not actual facts. All right. And you've got to develop a coping mechanism for when those setbacks happen and when you experience certain challenges, but understand what they are for you. So you develop the coping mechanism that's the triggering the new behavior, but the new behavior is the authentic you. Big difference there. Learn from those failures and setbacks. See them as a space for you to improve and grow and learn. Just takes the pressure off everything. Build a support network around yourself of positive people. Remove those Debbie Downers, those ones, the ones that oh yeah, it's really bad today. Everything's going wrong. My life's a disaster. Those people, get rid of them. You can do it slowly and gracefully, but just slowly remove them from your life because they are like energy suckers. And I've removed a lot of those people out of my life. And then when I feel anyone like that coming back towards me, it gives me an immediate reaction because I know it's happening, right? Um, and I've got a really amazing support network around me. So who's going to be in that? Think about it. Who's going to be in your network? Maybe you've got a friend, a colleague. Also, don't choose people who are going to be yes people either. Sometimes, if it's in your family, especially if it's a partner, a husband, wife, something like that, sometimes they just agree with you, right? Because they want a happy life. So just be careful when you choose that support network, realize why you're choosing them and prioritize that self-care and your mental health because how could you practice mindfulness meditation? How do you practice things that make you feel good? There are certain things that I do that make me feel good. Like, for example, today, before I present anywhere, I get on Bruno Mars and I have a dance around my room, and it gives me that kind of uplifting energy because he's such a great guy. And I'm very excited. I'm going to see him in July. Can't believe that. Took me hours to get a ticket, but I'm going. But that's what gives me energy. So do things that if you've got a presentation, if you've got a meeting, if you've got a meeting with someone that you just don't get on with, get yourself into that look after yourself and get yourself into that positive space. um the last one I want you to think about is being more assertive with your communication. Notice your language. I've talked about it already today. Is it fair or is it pressurized? Or things like I should versus it would be good if, or I have to do this, or versus I have the opportunity to do this, or yeah, I'll do this, or versus yeah, I'll try, I'll give it a go. So start to set yourself boundaries, advocate for yourself, and ask for help and support and communicate confidently but authentically. People see through the fake stuff. That thing of I'm fine, I hate that phrase. How are you today? Yeah, I'm fine. And you can just see that, something terrible is happening. And I understand we've got to be professional and there are, boundaries around that. I understand that. But this is about being your authentic self, okay, in a professional environment. And it is a balance and it does take a little bit working out what's right, what isn't right. But in terms of imposter syndrome for all the other things, I want you to really think about what's my new authentic behavior going to look like.